It's Dr. K, writing under oath. How are you? I'm going to talk more about subjective nonfiction. As you know, anything that is subjective is what comes from inside you. Objective means that it exists outside of you. So if we're writing nonfiction that is subjective, it means that it's coming entirely from within me. That's why memoir has a disclaimer called, "This is the truth as I see it." Now, in memoir, I think it's unethical to put, for example, dialogue in quotes unless you actually wrote down exactly what was said at the time you're describing a scene or an event. And since many memoirs are a slice in time that goes years, decades back in a person's life, they're not going to have verbatim dialogue. So to put it in quotes is unethical. Also, when you're writing subjective nonfiction, you have to be mindful of slander, libel, and malice. Now, slander and libel exist under a term of defamation. What differentiates the two terms is that libel generally would occur in a published, long-term, existing physical document, whereas slander would exist in a context that's more fleeting, like a statement that's uttered and then goes away. That would be slander. Now, the definition of libel is simply that libel is injury to reputation in words, pictures, cartoons, emails that expose a person to public hatred, shame, disgrace, or ridicule, or induce an ill opinion of a person. These are all libelous. So it's very, very important in subjective nonfiction to state from the start that what you're writing is the truth as you see it, and that it is subjective, and that it is opinion. Otherwise, you make yourself vulnerable to malice. And these are all in lawsuits, of course. Malice is publishing, airing information, knowing it is false, or with a total disregard for whether or not it is true or false. What are the best defenses against libel? That would be privilege, that you had the privilege to utter these words because you're an expert on the subject and that they happen to you, and that they are provably true. So if someone sues you for malice and you can prove that the claims you made are true, you have a good defense. If you quote someone correctly, it's not enough to sue for libel. And it's also not a libel defense. That the statement is substantially correct is really your only defense in a case against libel. So that's the lesson today on defamation, libel, and malice in subjective nonfiction. Thanks for listening, everyone. Dr. K, writing under oath.